Hey,
Hey!
Quinn.
Listen, in here, I'm Karma, okay?
Got it.
An airport security line. A guard asks a woman what she does for a living, just routine, and just a box to tick. And she says she's unemployed. That's it. That's the whole moment. Nobody in that room understands what she just gave up. She quit her job. Nobody made her do it. Her fiancé didn't ask, didn't bargain, didn't pay her to. She just did it quietly, and she'd been saving it as a surprise. 4 months later, that same man handed her a stack of legal paperwork, explaining exactly what she'd be entitled to if their marriage fell apart. Everybody remembers Quinn as the stripper Barney dated before the real story kicked in. The detour. The one you skip on a rewatch. And almost nobody remembers that she is the only person in 9 seasons of this show that Barney Stinson never had to con. Not once. No playbook, no bit. No fake identity, no elaborate scheme, none of it. You think this is the fling before Robin. It's actually the one relationship where Barney ran out of plays. And that, it turns out, is the exact thing he couldn't survive. Pull up a seat under the yellow umbrella. Let's decode Quinn. Start with how they met, because she saw straight through him in about 9 seconds. Barney's at a club doing what he's done for 7 seasons at this point, running material, and this woman clocks every single move before he's finished the sentence, then tells him flat out that he's got no chance. Not rude about it, just certain. Man was running his greatest hits and she wasn't having a single one of them. Dude was cooked, and then he can't stop talking about her. Turns down other women, complains about her constantly, which anyone who's been alive for 5 minutes can recognize as the sound of somebody catching feelings and losing an argument with themselves. Then he finds out where she works. She's a dancer at the Lusty Leopard, stage name Karma, which is honestly a little on the nose, but I'll allow it, and this is where the thing I want you to watch starts. He asks her out. She keeps dodging the question, and just tells him to come to the club instead. Sit down, pay for dances. That's the arrangement. And he pays. Every single time. Full price, no friend discount, no soft spot. Then he watches her run the exact same routine on some other guy at the bar, word for word, and the whole thing clicks. She's working him. Now normally that's where Barney explodes. That's his nightmare, being the mark instead of the guy running it. And he does storm off for a minute. But watch what actually happens after, because the show does something with this character it has genuinely never done before. They run into each other at a coffee place, and she tells him she remembers all of it, everything he said while she was working. Not because she was falling for him, because she was listening, and because the alternative was hearing the same club playlist for the 400th time. And that lands on him harder than any of it, because for once, somebody wasn't performing at him. She was just as sharp as he was, running her own thing, and she still paid attention. Think about how rare that actually is for this character. Every relationship Barney has in this show starts with a lie. A fake name, a fake job, a fake accent, a bit he's running that he has to maintain for as long as the woman sticks around. Even the real ones start crooked and slowly get straightened out. This one starts with both of them already caught. She knew he was working her. He knew she was working him. There was nothing left to reveal, so they start dating. And this is the part people skip past. Their friends decide Quinn is bossy and start working to break them up. So the two of them stage an enormous fight in front of everyone, let the gang panic about it, and then reveal they were messing with them the entire time. Same instincts, same sense of humor. 2 grifters on the exact same wavelength. She moves in with him, first woman he's ever lived with in the whole series. And here's what gets me watching this arc back. This is the most relaxed I have ever seen this character. No performance, no costume, no scheme running underneath the conversation. He didn't have to trick her into anything, because she saw the trick from the start and stayed anyway. Which should have been the happy ending. And it's exactly what breaks it. Because a man whose entire identity is built on running the con does not know who he is when there's nothing left to run. A couple of her regulars spot her on the sidewalk and say hi, friendly, harmless, and Barney just freezes. He can't handle it. Not the men, exactly. The fact that strangers have a version of her he doesn't control. So does he talk to her about it? Does he say, hey, this is bothering me, can we figure it out? No. He goes to his office and fires an actual employee, a guy with a job, a real one gone, so Barney can invent a title out of thin air and offer it to his girlfriend, Executive Strategies Coordinator, which means nothing. It's a salary with a costume on it, designed to get her out of the club, and there's a name for this, and once you've heard it, you'll see it everywhere. Savior complex. Sometimes people call it white knight syndrome. It's when loving someone quietly turns into fixing them. When you can't accept the person in front of you, so you start rebuilding them into a version you're more comfortable standing next to. And it always dresses itself up as generosity. Watch the tell. He never asks her one single question first, not what she wants, not how she feels about her own job, nothing. He just restructured a bank so his girlfriend would change careers. My guy really did that. And nobody asked to be saved. And the thing about savior complex is that it isn't really about the other person at all. It looks outward, it feels like devotion, like you're the one making sacrifices. But it's almost always about control. And underneath the control there's usually fear. So Barney wasn't scared of her job. He was scared that she existed in a world he had no authority over, that there were rooms full of people who knew a version of her he'd never get. So he tried to buy that world and shut it down. The cruel part is she liked her life. Nothing in the show suggests she was miserable or trapped or waiting for a rescue. That's the piece people miss when they defend what he did. You can't save somebody who wasn't drowning. You can only decide their life makes you uncomfortable and start renovating. Quinn catches it instantly. She doesn't yell. She just tells him she needs some time and she leaves. And to his credit, he undoes it. Gives the man his job back. They find their way to each other again. So watch what she does next because it should have solved this permanently. The airport, Hawaii trip. Security pulls them aside because Barney refuses to open a box he's traveling with, insisting it's for a magic trick because he is who he is. And the guard asks Quinn her occupation, and she says unemployed. She quit, on her own. No fake title, no bank salary, no negotiation, no pressure. She wanted to tell him on the trip. And Barney opens the box. There's a ring in it. He proposes right there in airport security, and she says yes. That should be the end of the story. The one thing he wanted, she gave him for free. 4 months later, he hands her a contract. First, though, a smaller crack, and it tells you everything. Barney had gone through years of his life and scrubbed every trace of Robin. Photos, mementos, all of it swiped. So Quinn would never have to feel like second place. Sounds thoughtful on paper, except he didn't throw any of it away. He kept every piece intact, locked in a storage unit, so the version of himself he handed Quinn was edited. He performed being an open book while keeping a room she wasn't allowed into. That's not honesty. That's a better-looking con. And then the prenup. His boss spooks him with a divorce horror story, and Barney goes and drafts pages of conditions so absurd that every woman Quinn reads them to agrees the man has lost his mind. Now line it up. All of it. Because this whole relationship is one thing said 4 different ways. She took his money honestly at the club and told him exactly what it was. He tried to buy her out of that job with a salary she never asked for. Then she gave the job up for nothing, no payment, no deal, just gave it. And he answered that by drafting a document about what she'd be entitled to when she left him. Money, 4 times, and not one of those times did he hand it over as an equal. It was a transaction, then a purchase, then a gift he couldn't accept, then a wall. And I want to sit on that third one for a second, because it's the saddest beat in the whole arc and it goes by in about 8 seconds of screen time. She gave up her income, not for a better offer, not because he wore her down. She did the thing he'd been trying to engineer for months, except she did it freely, which is the only way it would have ever meant anything. That was her putting the armor down. That was Quinn going first. And his answer was paperwork. But this is where I have to be fair, because I don't think this is a story about a good woman and a bad man. And it took me a rewatch to actually see it. Quinn drew up a prenup right dead back at him. Her own version. Just as ruthless, just as unreasonable. She didn't sit him down and say, "This hurts." She matched him. Armor for armor. And that's the real thing underneath all of it. These two didn't fall apart because they were too different. They fell apart because they were exactly the same. 2 people who read other people for a living, who spent their whole lives being the one who sees it coming, and never once learned how to let somebody see them. The exact thing that made them a perfect match is the thing that ended them. Neither one could put the armor down first. Somebody had to go first. And going first is the one play neither of them had. If you want the fuller version of where Barney learned to live like that, or why the con became a personality in the first place, I made a whole video on the hidden pain behind Barney Stinson. It lines up with this one almost scene for scene. I'll link it. But before you go, I want to turn this one around on you. Because I don't think this is about a strip club or a bank job. Think about the last time you loved somebody's potential more than you love the actual person standing there. When you caught yourself planning small improvements for them, a better job, a better circle, a better version just slightly adjusted, and you told yourself it was because you cared. It usually is because you care. That's what makes it so hard to spot. And then the other half of it, which honestly might be the harder one. Think about the last time somebody got close and you drafted the exit before you'd even walked in the door. Kept a room they weren't allowed into. Matched their guard instead of dropping yours, because dropping yours first felt like losing. Nobody needs rescuing from a life they picked, and nobody has ever been loved through a contract. If that landed, if you got somebody you've been quietly trying to improve, or a door you've been keeping shut, subscribe and pull up a seat. This channel is about the characters everybody wrote off too fast, and honestly about the parts of ourselves we write off the same way. That's Quinn, not the detour, the only person who ever met Barney Stinson without a mask on, and the one he couldn't stay honest with anyway. I'm decoding How I Met Your Mother, one character at a time. I'll see you in the next one.